She by Sheree. More like She Kissed LaToya. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review season 15, episode 12 of The Real Housewives kissing former friends of the Housewives of Atlanta. We start the episode off right where they left off with the cameras being down, so the cast decided to have a slumber party. Next thing you know, Drew, she's being accused of kissing LaToya, who used to be a friend of the show 200-300 seasons ago, and now we're talking about it now 2-3 years later. For some reason, I'm not sure why. Drew is denying it though, and she's telling Kandi specifically because Kandi's telling her, why are you lying about this? I was there on the trip with you. I saw it with my own two eyes. So Kandi's telling Drew,
Drew, I really don't appreciate you trying to call me a liar and trying to say that I'm making things up like this. When I saw you and LaToya making out and kissing right after the whole Bolo situation, why are you calling me a liar?
So then Drew, she's just like, no, that never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. And the only reason why we even got footage of this whole interaction was because Marlo, being Marlo, was sitting back and recording the whole thing on her phone because the cameras were already down. And I do wonder though, because this episode, it made me open up my eyes a little bit more. If Marlo would have never recorded this whole interaction, would this even be a subject on the show? Like, would we still be talking about LaToya? Because it seems that they like to pick and choose how they behave and talk about certain things on camera. And then once they feel comfortable when the cameras are not there, they want to discuss like what's really going on in their lives or what's going on or how they really feel. So, and people could say a lot of things about Kandi, but I don't personally see her as a liar. I don't see her talking about something that happened 3 years ago now, just for all of it to be a lie and backfire later in her face. Like, for what? If anything, I feel like there's maybe two reasons why Drew is denying this. One, if it is true, I feel like Drew, if she was a lesbian or bisexual or whatever, because obviously that's going to be a subject the rest of the season, I feel like this is not the way Drew wants to come out or, be outed by the cast. Like, I'm not ready right now to put this out there to the public. I don't want everybody to know about this just yet. I'm still trying to figure out myself. That could be a possibility. I'm not saying it's true, but it could be a possibility. So I could see why the pushback, especially with the cameras around, I could see why it could be very uncomfortable for Drew. Or two, I feel like, if this was to actually be true, I feel like Ralph, she's also thinking about his feelings like, wow, Ralph, even though he cheated on me a couple of times, allegedly, now it's going to look like I cheated on him and he never knew about the situation and I denied it before. Now it's coming out that, yeah, it's actually true. So of course he's going to look at Drew as a liar, as a cheater, even though he has no right to look at her that way because, look at the material. If anything, the real mystery should be, what happened to Tanya? That's what I really want to know. Forget this whole LaToya situation. I want to know if she fucked Bolo. Because she got a little taste of him, allegedly, and then poof, we never saw her again. That is such a shame. Like, you see what Dick would do to you? It will ruin your life, or your marriage in her case. But, she was so much fun too. I really like Tanya. It's Tanya time. So regardless, that was that. We move over to the next day. I believe it's the last day in Portugal. And honestly, you could have told me that they filmed the last 2-3 episodes in Sheree's backyard at Chateau Sheree. And I probably would have believed you because it just didn't feel like we were in Portugal or just anywhere international. It didn't even feel like a cast trip. Like we were just there just to be there to heal in Sheree's delusional world. And we really didn't get much of anything. But then we see Kandi getting ready to go back home. And I get it, it's the last day of the trip. But her flight to Portugal was longer than her stay here. I don't remember her really doing much besides her being at the hospital with Kenya last episode for the most part, and that was it. And now she's going home. So it's just like, why come in the first place? I get it, it's the cat's trip, I guess, but Kandi's getting ready to go back home to do the escape tour. And that's another thing too. I don't get why production does not show us that aspect of Kandi. Like the only thing that we see of Kandi is her and Todd talking about that movie about eating pussy or whatever the plot is. We never get to see her. I said it a couple of episodes ago when she got the award, the Ebony Award. We never got to see her actually receiving it or going to the award show or anything for that. And now here she is. She's going on a tour with her big group Escape, and yet nothing. We get no footage. I get it that they have their own spin-off show, but a 5 or 10 second clip, of seeing what Kenny's doing with them wouldn't hurt either. But we see Kenya and Monya. we see Kenya and Moneta. You know, they're waking up, they're talking about, you know, what happened the night before and everything. Kenya's letting us know that Candy was really pressed about this whole situation. Why? I'm not sure. Again, Candy, it's not like we're gonna choose Drew's side over yours. It's not like we're gonna look at you like, oh, Candy's a liar, when you don't have that history. So I don't get what she was so bothered about, because she was calling Cynthia in the middle of the night, and you know Cynthia was so happy receiving that call, like, oh my gosh, maybe Andy told Candy to call me to let me know that I'm gonna get my contract and my peach for next season. Hello, Candy, do I have my peach? What do you mean, LaToya? She was so upset. She's like, stop calling me. But Candy, she's trying to call everybody, and LaToya, she's texting her too. First of all, I'm very shocked that they all continue to have any type of interaction with LaToya. I thought LaToya was just kind of like a done deal, and everybody just kind of moved on. At least I thought I did, but Kenya also lets us know that she's feeling better after she fell on her diaper booty last episode, which, by the way, that fall that she had looked really, really painful. I mean, her tailbone hit the pavement so hard, but she's feeling okay and she's able to walk again. And she made a slight joke by saying, oh, maybe somebody's casting roots on me. And, you know, as a person who believes in stuff like that and witchcraft and voodoo and all of that, I personally wouldn't put that out there to the world. And then she says that maybe it was Marlo who did it. Okay, Kenya. So then Moneta, she's letting her know that the whole interaction between Drew and Candy the night before, it was all recorded by Marlo, who sent the video over to LaToya. So now LaToya knows about everything that's going on here in Portugal. And Kenya's like, well, I told you that she was a snake, but she's not just a snake. She's a snake with a bunch of dumpsters on top of her. Okay, Kenya. And then she goes on to talk about Courtney and how Courtney was there, and Sheree and Marlo, they were telling Courtney, you need to look out for your cousin Drew, because Drew, she's not really trustworthy. She seems like a liar. Just be careful about her. And then Kenya kills me with her impersonation of Courtney in the confessional, because she sounded like Courtney, but she sounded like Mia from Potomac. She was just like, I mean, yeah, everything is okay between me and my cousin Drew, but like, I mean, sometimes I don't see certain things and I'm very dumb. Speaking of Marlo, we see her getting ready with Sonia, and Sonia's telling her, wow, I guess it's back to square one with Drew and you, right? Like, you two are just not gonna get along. And Marlo, did y'all notice that Marlo, she kind of flashed everybody on accident? I mean, she had her towel wrapped around her, right? I'm guessing she was out the shower. She was just like this. She was fully naked, and she was just like, yeah, I know. I think it's back to square one. Boobs just all out, but she's like, yeah, it's unfortunate, but whatever, it is what it is. Then we see Sheree and Drew meeting up in the lobby to discuss what happened the night before. Drew's letting her know that Marlo actually sent the footage that she recorded on her phone over to LaToya. And Marlo, you see, that's where you messed up, because you and Drew were just okay. Like, you two kind of squashed your issues. And now, why did you send that video specifically to LaToya? Like, what are you trying to prove? So then LaToya sent the video over to Drew. She wasted no time trying to get back into the mix. And Drew, she just wants to know, like, okay, did we kiss or no? LaToya surprisingly says no, but you're contradicting yourself, because at the reunion that you were at, you said that, yeah, oh, remember Drew, me and you kissed, but now you're saying no. So which one is it? And I also didn't like the way Drew tried to word this whole explanation of, oh, well, you know, I am going to be in Todd and Candy's movie, you know, and I have to kiss another woman. And maybe this is Candy's way of trying to ease me into the role. And that right there sounded very, very creepy, Drew, the way you're trying to word that, or the way you're trying to describe Candy, like she would do something like that, like, oh, you know, maybe I should just give you this, or just put this assumption on you, and then maybe you'll feel more relaxed and more eased into the role. Like, I don't know, is it just me? It sounded very creepy. And Sheree's just like, wow, okay. So do you think that Candy would do something like this? Drew says that if she has to cut business or friendships with Candy or Kenya, that she'll do it if it means that she's going to be proven innocent in this whole situation. But I'm pretty sure that Drew, she already filmed the whole movie for Todd and Candy, so that could be pretty awkward, specifically for Candy if she's watching the finished product. Could you imagine? I mean, I'll have a whole attitude if I'm watching a whole movie that I produce with somebody that I don't get along with anymore. I'll be sitting there like, Yeah, the bitch's acting is not that good anyway. But that was that. And also, the reason why there was no reviews for the Atlanta Housewives or New York City Housewives this past week is because I flew over to the East Coast to my home state of New Jersey to go see Beyonce at her Renaissance Tour concert. And I think I'm gonna make a whole separate video explaining that whole experience because, whew, what an experience it was. I mean, it was such a moment. It was so much fun, but we'll discuss that soon on top of me running into a reality TV star at the airport. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you know who it is because I posted the picture of me and them on my story, but we'll discuss all of this very soon. So they all get together on the Sprinter van to head out to Sheree's last activity on this trip, which is a sound bath because she believes that this is a way of healing, even though we haven't seen any type of healing the last 3 days on this trip. But now, this is gonna fix everything. So they're on their way. Kenya, she's talking about her fall last week, and she's like, yeah, they diagnosed me with trauma, but you know what could really help right now? If Moneta was to rap right now, right, Moneta? And then I believe Moneta's nickname was Mo Shaw or something like that. Moneta, apparently she used to be on a talk show, or she was a radio host, and she also used to rap. And I'm like, oh, okay, another thing on her resume. So then she starts rapping for us, and she was just like, my name is Moneta and I want a peach. What more do I prove that I'm the baddest beach? And just like Sheree said, stick to dancing because that rap was wiggity wiggity whack. Like, poor Moneta, she's just throwing everything at the wall, at the producers, at Bravo, at Andy, just so they could finally look at her like, you know what, maybe you do have what it takes to be a peach holder for next season. I mean, at this point, she's basically telling them like, look, I used to be married to Neo, I have all these celebrity friends, I'm a dancer, I'm a rapper now, apparently. What more do you want from me? Why can't you give me one? Like, poor Moneta, she's really trying so hard to show us that she has all of this. And it really is impressive, but they just don't see it for her. By next week, she's going to be telling us that she's a mechanic, a substitute teacher, an astronaut, a deep sea diver. Like, what else does she have? That Bravo is just not seeing. But, speaking of peaches, though, I love eating these peaches right here. These right here, they're so, so delicious. Hold on. How would I look with a peach? Well, not a canned peach, but this could do for now. Regardless, they get to the sound bath place and they're all laying down while the guy, he's playing different sounds in the background to relax them. They're all meditating and, they're all taking deep breaths and everything. And everybody's having these visuals and stuff of like deep stuff. And then there's Marlo. Sonia, I believe she's having reflections of her sister, how she treats her like a baby sister when she's not. She's a grown woman. And she's also trying to wonder, will I be back for next season? Will I be back for next season? Probably not. And then I believe Sheree, she's thinking of Martell is probably cheating on me again with another woman. Is our relationship gonna be real by the reunion or is somebody gonna expose me? Kenya, she's thinking about Brooklyn and Moneta. Moneta, obviously she's thinking about the peach for next season. And then Marlo, she was just like, with me specifically, I'm just thinking about Scott Lee and getting back to his beautiful face and him touching me and, just going out with him again. He's just a beautiful man. I'm like, same, Marlo, same. But eventually they all wake up from their slumber and, Kenya, she starts getting all emotional and everything. And then Drew, she wants to share what she was thinking about. And Drew, she was just like, well, I had a vision that my kids and my husband, Ralph, were waiting for me with open arms. And then Marlo in the confessional, nobody's waiting for you. Ralph, he's somewhere in Las Vegas with the woman that he said that he was going with. Marlo is hilarious. She really does know how to ruin a moment. And Kenya, she's getting emotional, and then she gets up and she goes to the woman that was doing the sound bath thing, and she starts crying to her, and I was kind of confused, and the lady is just looking at her like, what happened? Kenya's like, well, I just feel like I was giving my daughter Brooklyn to help other people, and she really did change me, and she starts crying, and, the lady's just looking at her like, what the fuck are you telling me this for? Like, congratulations. After the sound bath, they go into this room to eat meatballs with wine. They're all sitting down at the table. Everything is good until Moneta, she tells them, so we had such a fun time last night, right? We had such a good time. Sheree was just like, yeah, we had a good time until we didn't, because apparently now there's accusations of some girl on girl action going on in this group. And then they played this montage of the girl on girl action over the years on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I completely forgot about that one scene with Cynthia and Candy was trying to seduce her. And she was just like,
Oh, so tell me how wet you are.
I'm like, Candy, oh my. But, she was just like, Drew, you're being accused of supposedly kissing LaToya, and we don't know if it's true or not. And I just don't get the big deal. To me, it just does not matter. Like, okay, if she did, fine. If she didn't, so what? If she's lying, who cares? Why are we dragging this out? I mean, again, I don't know. Candy's trying to prove that she's not a liar, but I just don't get it's never that serious, right? And then, what's her name? Marlo in the confessional. She was just like, well, you know what? I just feel like there's a bunch of undercover lesbians in this group. Drew gets upset with Marlo because Marlo confesses that, yeah, she did send the video over to LaToya with the text saying, this bitch is lying on you. And Marlo, her excuse is, oh, it was just fun shade. It was just fun shade. It was nothing serious. But Marlo, that's not okay either. Again, it'll be different if she sent it to somebody in the group. But LaToya, of all people, like, why not send it to Nene? Maybe she'll, they'll add her into the episode somehow. But regardless, Drew, she's getting upset. And I feel like, yes, Drew, she could be upset about this whole situation for some reason. But I feel like she's also upset because of the whole situation with Ralph, that Vegas situation that she just found out when she landed to Portugal. And I feel like she's also adding her anger from that to this situation. And she's projecting over to Marlo. So she starts banging the table. She's like, you need to worry about you and your edges and your hair follicle and getting your record SpongeBob or a sponge, whatever the word was. And Marlo killed me because I don't know if anybody heard, but Marlo was just like, oh, wow, you're going to try to pull a K. Michelle? Because K. Michelle on Love and Hip Hop, her infamous quote was, oh, this bitch is shaking the table. Marlo just wasn't taking it serious at all. And Drew, she's just getting more and more upset. And she was just, using the same comments. It's always the same comments towards Marlo. She's a whore. She gets money through sex or whatever. She dates white men. She slashed people's faces. She went to jail. Blah, blah, blah. What else? What else? In my Nene voice, what else? Like, it's always the same insults towards her. Kenya, she jumps in it and she tells Courtney, who's sitting like 2 seats away, so do you want to add anything to this conversation? Because supposedly you were told something about, Sheree and Marlo or something like that. And Courtney, again, she's no punk. She jumped up with her bobblehead and she told Kenya, I could defend myself really nicely, Kenya. You don't really have to talk to me about anything. I can talk about myself regardless of whatever anybody told me, okay? I could defend myself. And I'm like, ooh, Courtney, Kenya, you're just going to take that? Moneta also confessed that she also was recording the night before. But see, the thing is, Marlo, she sent it to LaToya unprovoked, and Moneta, she didn't do anything with the footage. She didn't send it to anybody. Marlo, that's where you messed up. Moneta, she said that the second that anybody said, oh, there's no recording, she put the phone down, unlike Marlo. So then Courtney, she goes on to say that, she could defend herself, and yeah, she has her own mind, her own mentality, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like just because she's cousins with Drew, that's not gonna stop her from just swaying in her direction and being on her team just because of that. I think she has her own mind for the most part. So then Kenya, she was not trying to hear it anymore. She was just like, okay, Courtney, okay, enough. Shut up. And I'm like, ooh, Courtney, you're gonna take that too? And Courtney, hold on, where's my peaches? I think I might have to give you this. I mean, it's empty now, but I think I might have to give you one of these for next season because Courtney snapped back at Kenya and she was just like, and what are you going to do if I don't shut up? What are you going to do, huh? What are you going to do about it, huh? And I'm like, wow, Courtney, what? You want to fight? And Kenya, I was just watching this scene like, Kenya, get up. Like, she's kind of dragging you. And I feel like Kenya didn't expect that because she stayed quiet. And all she could say was her corny line. Like, oh, I am the moment. I am the moment. Boo again, Kenya, for a second episode in a row. Like, what? That's the best you got? I am the moment. And again, Kenya is she's not trying to give Marlo or Courtney a moment because she just doesn't feel like, again, they're up to her standards of being on the show. And unfortunately, Kenya, yeah, you do have to give each other moments or else this show won't continue to be good or progress or anything, because then nobody's going to want to give each other moments because, oh no, I'm too good for this. And yeah, in the real world, like outside of reality TV, that'll be the right way to do it. But you're on TV and you can't just continue avoiding confrontation or issues with other people just because you think you're better than the cast members. It's just not going to work. So everyone starts getting ready for their last dinner in Portugal, and Kenya, Sheree, and Marlo were the best dressed. Kenya, that green dress, perfect. So they get to the restaurant, they order their drinks, they order their food. It just kills me to say this every other week, but Kenya, she just looks so miserable. Like, it pains her to be on this show anymore, especially now that Candy is not next to her on this episode. Like, you could just tell that she looks miserable, right? And Sonia, she walks away, and Kenya, you really thought that you were gonna get away with taking her drink because she's looking at her own drink and she takes a sip and she's like, it tastes like coffee. I really don't want it. So she kind of just sneaks Sonia's drink over, like, maybe I'll just drink this. And she's just pretending like, oh, well, they put this in front of me, so I guess I'll just take it. No, Kenya, we saw it. You stole her drink. The nerve. So Sonia comes back, she gets her drink, and then we start this whole conversation up with Moneta again. Moneta, she starts it up with Marlo by saying, so, LaToya, supposedly she said that you sent her the message, the video or whatever, and you were trying to show her that, oh, look, this is how Drew really is about you or whatever. And Marlo, she actually didn't backpedal. She said, yeah, I did. That's exactly what I did. I sent it to Toya because I wanted her to see the type of person that Drew is. So Moneta, she was kind of caught off guard. She was just like, oh. Like, she really thought that Marlo was going to deny that. But Marlo was just like, no, I'm just doing this just to do it. And I don't really get what the purpose of it was because I thought you and Drew were trying to move forward. But I guess not, Marlo. So Drew, she gets upset about it. And again, they start going back and forth with each other. She starts bringing up the whole expunge conversation and her record, her history record, blah, blah, blah. The same old thing. Marlo, she just kept saying, oh, well, me and your husband, we work in the same thing. We both work in technology. And I don't get why Drew is taking that personally. Like, is it a bad thing or is she trying to insinuate something else? Like, I'm not getting, maybe it went right over my head because I don't get how working in technology is a bad thing. But Drew, she's taking it personal. They kept going back and forth with each other. Marlo, she's really unbothered by it. She just keeps going on with the food and the drink. Drew, again, she's the only one that's really upset in this whole situation. So eventually, I believe Sonia, she jumps in it. And Sonia's like, look, so I had an issue with the whole, Moneta, how you tried to explain this whole situation that happened the night before to Kenya, who wasn't even in the room. And I kind of agreed too. Kenya, you're trying to make this a situation, but you weren't even a witness to it. So mind your business. So then Moneta, she was just like, yeah, I shouldn't have used the word. Is it conclusion or colluding? Something like that. I honestly didn't know what the word meant. I thought the word was, the definition of it was a headache. So this is news to me. But she was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have used those words, conclusion or whatever. I shouldn't have said that. I should have worded it differently. I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, whatever. So then I forgot how Courtney got into the whole situation. I think it was Kenya who told Courtney, I think it's terrible that you think that it's karma that I fell the way I did. It could have been so much worse. And the fact that you think that that's karma, that's a pretty terrible thing to say. So then Courtney, she tells her,
first of all, no, I never said anything about you falling was karma. I never said that karma was that. I never said that at all. I just said that maybe, karma's gonna come back around you because you're a mean girl. That's all I said. I never said anything about you falling.
And I'm like, Courtney, no. See, this is where you lose me because you just took on Kenya not too long ago at the last dinner, and now you're kind of backpedaling saying, oh, no, that's not exactly what I meant. Then what exactly did you mean? It's basically like saying potato. It's the same thing. You still said that this whole karma thing was, her doing, that her falling was karma. So I'm not sure what she's trying to get at now. And Kenya, she was just like, well, I don't like that you said that, blah, blah, blah. You're a pretty mean girl for saying that, but yet you want to call me mean, all this and all that. And eventually she was just like, you know what? I just think what you said was some bullshit. She tried to pull a Candy from that season 6 reunion. I said what I said.
Well, what you said was some bullshit.
So then Courtney, again, she threw it back at Kenya. And she was just like,
well, I think that you're bullshit.
I'm like, Kenya, tag me in because you're not doing a good job this episode. Get behind me. Like, Kenya was kind of getting dragged by Courtney. I cannot believe that. But, Kenya, they start going back and forth about it or whatever, and she was just like, oh, I'm not a mean girl, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I'm not really even sure at this point what is Kenya's big issue with Courtney at this point. I get it, the whole no touching thing 2 episodes ago, but I feel like now she's just kind of dragging it. So Courtney, she continues on, and she was just like,
well, you know what, if you want to continue being a mean girl or whatever and continue busting your ass, then go ahead, you can do it. I really don't care about you, Kenya.
And I'm like, wow, Courtney again. Maybe, just maybe, she needs to come back for next season. Ooh, who said that? I don't know. But possibly, I don't know. She had 2 auditions this episode, and she passed both of them in Kenya. She's just sitting there looking stuck like, oh man, what do I say? And I also didn't like how when Courtney was explaining to Kenya how she was being a mean girl, they decided to play a flashback of the party where Martell and Kenya got into it. And then when Marlo was banging on her door, Kenya came out and she yelled at her as if she was in the wrong. Like, what was that about? Like, do the producers think that the audience are dumb or something, or that we're not gonna forget what was really happening in those situations? Like, if anything, they should have played, some flashbacks of Kenya from like season 6, 7, 8. Maybe then it would have been a little bit more reasonable. But to play those two clips, specifically the hotel one, that was questionable. Next thing you know, Sheree can't handle the back and forth fighting, so she gets up, she grabs her wine, and she tells everybody, this is too much, I can't take this right now, this is so embarrassing, I'm leaving. So she's walking out, she's crying, she's yelling at them, saying that this is so embarrassing, you're embarrassing me. First of all, Sheree, you embarrassed yourself already the first episode when you showed up to the party with Martell. That's already embarrassing enough, so now you're calling somebody else embarrassing? How hilarious is that? But she's crying, and so everybody gets up, and the whole dinner is basically over. And I think Kenya told Drew, oh, you need to watch your cousin. She's the snake. And all I remember was hearing Giovanna, the snake is your man. They start coddling Sheree like, it's okay, it's fine. And that was that. The dinner was just ruined and nothing ever came about that. So I'm thinking the trip is over, but apparently it's not. They still have an extra day in Portugal. And I'm like, please, let it end already. So they go to a winery, everybody for the most part is getting along. They're tasting the wine. Marlo, she gets a text from Ralph. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So Drew, obviously, she opened up her mouth to him and told him everything, I guess. And Ralph is basically like, Marlo, keep my name out of your mouth, all this and all that. It was like a long 4-page text. And Marlo, she tells Drew, you know what, Drew, your husband texted me, and since he's a man, I'm not gonna address him, so I'm addressing his wife. I'm sorry, and that's that. Just tell him I apologize, and we can move forward. And Kenya's not having any of this, so she tells them, no, we're not doing this right now. We're gonna squash it a different time. We still need more footage for the rest of the season, so we still need more conflict. So Drew, just be quiet right now and confront her 2 episodes from now. So they agree to that, and that's that. Next thing you know, this lady, she walks in, and I'm thinking, what in the Real Housewives of Virginia is going on here? She comes with a whole squad of people, and they're all dressed, a certain way, and I believe it was Drew in the confessional. She was just like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see the pilgrims. And then the producers are like, you do know that pilgrims don't exist anymore, right? Like, they're not pilgrims, but, I guess it's the way they were dressed or something. But regardless, they start teaching the cast how to dance a certain type of dance or whatever. And then Moneta, Moneta was so excited. Moneta was like, okay, guys, we're all going to teach them, the cuff it challenge. We're going to teach them right now. Okay. I think this is probably my last chance already at trying to get a peach for next season, I was married to Neo, I'm friends with Toya, I'm a rapper, they don't see it from me, so hopefully now, once they see my choreography, they'll give me one next season. Okay, is everybody ready? Please get this right, guys, because the producers are watching my audition. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, and clap. 1, 2, 1, 2, and clap. Did I get my peach? But Moneta was so cute. You could tell that she was in her element, and it was nice to see them all do the dance. And that was that. And then next week, the episode looks juicy for next week. No pun intended, because it's a peach episode. And then LaToya. Why is LaToya back? Oh my goodness, we're really going backwards, like when we should be moving forward. And speaking of backwards, then we see the one and only Cynthia. The dramatic ass commercial. I'm thinking, who is hopping out the truck? Like, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be somebody we don't expect. And then it's Cynthia. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take her too. But we'll see what happens with that episode. But let me know what you all thought about this whole entire episode and this whole Portugal trip down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.